mistreatment, the unfair treatment we have suffered in the hands of the Supreme Court. I'm ashamed to belong to the legal fraternity.
The judiciary or the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court.
Okay.
Because the High Court has done its work. I'm talking specifically about the Supreme Court. I mean, what is the practice in Ghana? The practice in Ghana is that when you file an action in the Supreme Court, you are given a return date, a date.
NDC National Communicator Maitre Sammy Gyami what in Sembia Betuja asem wenya sem foforo, but this time around no what there a lot of evidence aka ho a watch mu essay from the look of things no said the EC esifa eye voter registration no afi we ni na chese wo mo ne eye NPP amanyoko a na na dodan kwakufa do edi animu sa brei de wo mo na maka omuti abom a wo mo epese eye nipa dodo a wo mo ebetimi akotwero omudin na wo mo anya wo voters ID card no mo a wo mo de ayera no wo betimi anya fofra sha na mu no wo pese omu twa so se de be ya dodo na na entimi enkokoye omode enunti won fa so bo na enfa mbo bia se NPP amanyoko no na ode ebebo omo na echire no wosan ede nsem foforo atudwa se wo hwe se de niema esi kwokrata wo mo echiroye ede call high court ma high court ede call Supreme Court ene se de ajagesefo ene wo fe de sen empanifo a ewo court honom no wo mu edi asem na chese from the look of things no I say katasuma mwaso niema bi enhyeda enkoyie ewo Supreme Court honoma wode emu ntremu nyina ba chemu se wo hwe se de a lawyers for any judges I was Supreme Court oye ne dia wanu ne ho kra se sebe wo ye mranimu ni na wo ko school se okosua eye law anase me chese emra na wode aye adwuma no wanu ne ho esan se ye fa ne se otini ade a wo mo eteki ye bosha wo mo ehye ye so mo bedi nokore ewo adwuma ni mo bedi adwuma ni no sebe empanimfo a wo mo ewo Supreme Court ajajefo atemuafo a wo mo ewo honom no wo mo anya ne sa na eye ferie papa esan se the Chief Justice kra eye no ono kra de eye na bofo no kra che ni nyina na nsem ne de wodi bi atato pa e de ama eye mampani ene eye Chief Justice a wodi emu nkyeremu nyina aba ebusua ye be ko ni akwakotie eye Sammy Gyami ensem a wodi etudwa na ye ko no mesel Penax Plus un subscribe ya mesel once again subscribe turn subscription notification button no on me bell no so information bi ato ho a wo beti bi afa like share na fa comment eto comment section ni mu ebusua say na Sammy Gyami kire ni nsemu.
What is sad, Doc? What is sad and shocking is the mistreatment, the unfair treatment we have suffered in the hands of the Supreme Court. I'm ashamed to belong to the legal fraternity.
The judiciary or the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court.
Okay.
Because the High Court has done its work. I'm talking specifically about the Supreme Court. I mean, what is the practice in Ghana? The practice in Ghana is that when you file an action in the Supreme Court, you are given a return date, a date for the hearing of that matter. That date is not given to you by the Chief Justice. For God's sake, it is given to you by the registrar. That is why he's called registrar. That is his work. He checks his calendar, looks at the cases before the court, and gives you a vacant date as a hearing date. Now, for the first time in the history of this country, we are told by our lawyers that the registrar of the Supreme Court says he can't give us a hearing date for our injunction application against the EC because the Chief Justice says she must give the date herself, and that the Chief Justice has traveled. My goodness.
That's what the registrar
That is what the registrar told our lawyers. And I dare him to deny that. That is what he said. So we were not given a return date. This is unheard of. Because in the history of this country, is the Chief Justice now the registrar of the Supreme Court? That today the Chief Justice will have to be given hearing dates herself. Let's even grant them that this novelty is even right. Let's even grant them that. Are you saying that if the Chief Justice has now taken upon herself this responsibility of fixing hearing dates, she alone can do that, and that if she is sick, if she is indisposed, if she is out of the jurisdiction, then the administration of justice in our apex court must come to a standstill. Nobody can be delegated to act in their absence. When we know from time immemorial that in the absence of the Chief Justice, the senior most judge of the Supreme Court acts, or any person the CJ deems fit to delegate acts. No delegation, we are told that you must wait for the CJ to come. Then the CJ comes, we don't even get a date. President Mahama makes a tweet, then all of a sudden we are sent a text message from the registry of the court that your matter will be heard on 17th October 2023, 14 days after the limited registration exercise that we say is illegal, that we are seeking to injunct, would have long ended. Clearly overreaching us and rendering the action moot. And you have people justifying this. And when President Mahama talks about imbalances in the judiciary, the unfairness of the judiciary, people don't understand. You have people like President Akufo-Addo say that they've not heard some before. Well, look, we will not take moral lessons from the bottom. Because the last person who should be lecturing us on criticism of the judiciary is President Akufo-Addo. He didn't just criticize the judiciary in times past. He even boycotted the judiciary. And you know why he boycotted the judiciary? Because the Supreme Court, or a court of competent jurisdiction in Ghana, found a lawyer, Kwamna Mensah Bonsu, guilty for contempt and sentenced him to imprisonment at Nsawam. So Akufo-Addo and the Greater Accra Bar Association at the time, the entire Bar Association, boycotted the judiciary. He, the very person who described a Supreme Court decision in the Chachu-Chikata versus the Republic case, when the ordinary bench of the Supreme Court declared the First Strike High Court as unconstitutional, he described the decision as perverse and a product of artificial scholarship. He and his family members like Judge Chedako, who in times past have attacked the integrity of the Supreme Court, they are now coming to tell us that now all of a sudden, because they are in power, the Supreme Court is above reproach, the judiciary is above criticism, they are above public scrutiny. And they, the Supreme Court, the judiciary of this country, who are administering justice for and on our behalf, we cannot criticize them. They should tell that to them.
So where do you go
so
from
look, you know this, what is sad, Doc? What is sad and shocking is the mistreatment, the unfair treatment we have suffered in the hands of the Supreme Court. I'm ashamed to belong to the legal fraternity.
The judiciary or the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court.
Okay.
Because the High Court has done its work. I'm talking specifically about the Supreme Court.